Good morning. Hey, Joey. Let me know if you recognize this song. Hey, hey. All righty. Glad to see you guys are up and awake. I was up early this morning. And I don't know if that was a good thing or not. Say hi. Where's my guy here? Say hi to my friend Harold. Paul, you're going to be in my class for today? I'm perfectly happy to have you here, as long as you're in being respectful. That's cool. So, what we're going to talk about is we've been talking a lot about our projects, and I need to pull something up over on my other computer here. Maybe? Yeah. High finger. It's the pointing finger, right? Look at Harold. What we're going to be talking about today is our fluid friction project again. And I'm going to show you the example that I made. And I haven't tested it yet. Don't know if it'll work, but I will tell you this. I made basically it's a parachute, okay? And this parachute has 4 strings attached to it and one really cool little cowboy. Woohoo! So I had to decide. You can check out the size of the little cowboy. The other day I was talking about the ratio of surface area to mass, and for example, here is my Western guy. And here is the little military guy that I thought about using. And I also have, these are all my grandsons. My grandson's Batman. And so they're all 3 different sizes, okay? Which really means they have a different mass too, okay? If I put this on the scale that I have over here, I'm gonna get quite a big variance in reading in the mass of my little muscular Batman. Look at that bicep. All right, compared to this little guy, or even this little guy. Okay, and so I went from probably way too big to maybe a little bit too small to I'm hoping this guy is right. And if he's not, what can I do to change it? And so as you're testing these things, you come up with little ideas. How do you change the weight? If you made some sort of an airplane and it doesn't seem to be flying very well, what options do you have? He looks like he's ready to fall off here. Where's my What options do you have to change it? Do you can you take away some of the mass to make it lighter? Is it falling too quickly? Can you do something to increase the mass? And so I've already thought about that with this guy. And what I realized I could do real easily is do something like add a coin to him to give him a little bit more mass. If he seems like he's too light, yeah, I can add a little more mass to him just with some tape, and maybe that'll correct it. Okay. Same thing goes with if you're making some sort of an airplane. Do you have enough surface? Is the mass too high? Is the mass too low? Is it flying but not flying right? Do I need to add a little weight to a certain part of it? Maybe you do. If it's flying erratically, maybe you need to add a tail fin or something of that nature. Maybe you need to use something like weights to add to the back of it. There's a lot of different possibilities of where you can place weight, and is weight placement going to change things? I tell you where I would obviously not want to put the weight. I'm not going to want to put the weight. Money. I'm not going to want to put the weight on the parachute itself. Okay, and of course, will this thing work? Who knows? It actually is probably working fairly decent. Okay, and I can choose to just like throw it up in the air and see what happens. Do I have a place where I can safely, without putting my life or anyone else's life in danger, either life or limb, is there a place I can safely throw it that's got a little bit of an elevation that I can recover it? So that would not be on your roof. That would not be on a highway bridge. Basically, you'll have to figure out something that you can do safely. You don't have to be that high off the ground to get it to have a little bit, get a little bit of air under it. Because one of the things you need to do, if you're using whatever it is, you need to have a point where that air that is actually getting under there, so it can sort of, I don't want to say inflate it, but so that your surface is open and you can get that resistance that you want. I have seen a couple airplane models from some people. What I'm thinking in the back of my mind is, I wonder if there's not enough surface area on some of them. And because there's not enough surface area, there's not enough lift. Remember, the third part of, or the part that we just started talking about with this fluid friction project is, I don't know what I do with my paper airplane. There it is. I was kind of cleaning up yesterday, if you can believe that. What kind of surface area do I have? The only way lift is going to be created is by air hitting this part of the plane and it's between its motion, its forward motion. When it is in forward motion, then that air is actually coming up, hitting this wing and coming back down. Action, reaction, Newton's third law, action, reaction. So what if I change the surface area, use the same plane, change the surface area? Now I've more than quadrupled my surface area. Will there be more air resistance, will there be more of that interaction of Newton's third law? These are hard to do. Where, and I wish I had a big outside area that I could do this. Now I have a big area, okay? And so there's more surface area for there to be wind resistance, air resistance, and yet I did not change the mass of it, okay? So design could be a huge part of that. Well, even if I just drop this, does this drop differently than if I dropped a sheet of paper? Yeah, the sheet of paper actually drops slower. Is there any difference in mass between this and this? Absolutely not. The only difference is the shape, the amount of surface area that exists between this and this. And so learning from that falls pretty fast, right? Learning from, the airplane actually falls quite a bit faster. Learning from our mistakes is an important part of getting this and getting it done, and making lots of different versions of the same thing. Glad to have you. I was actually talking to Mr. Foss tonight, and he got some poster board, and I don't know if he listened to me or not, but I told him, get a bunch, because your first design may not work, your second design may not work, and so you don't have to make yours out of poster board. The idea of this is, what do I have around the house that I could do this with? Can I use one of my parents' old losing lottery tickets and make something out of it? Yeah. I would not probably try to make an airplane out of a banana. It might look cool. Obviously, we're going back to things like, what do you have in your house? Do you have a garbage bag, a grocery bag? Do you have, this is that paper that was pushed down in a birthday present. Do you have some sort of a string? If not, where do I get string? Where do I find something that I can use? Where do I find something that I can substitute for string? You got an old rag around the house. You want to use some really super light string, and you have an old shirt that you don't fit into anymore, or that you spilled chocolate ice cream on so badly and the stain won't come out. That's me. Shoelaces. You could use shoelaces. That's a really good idea. If you have shoelaces, if you're old like me, you don't use shoelaces anymore. What? I still use shoelaces. Some of you guys have walked on your shoes and broke your shoelace. Some of you don't tie your shoes. I can think of somebody that doesn't. They could probably use their shoelaces because they don't tie them anyway. I don't recommend using something like a yarn. Would be a good one, Brandon. Yarn, if you have yarn. Yarn it's thicker than, oh no, I got Batman stuck here. Sorry, Batman. Where's the end of it? Now, this is not very thick. Yarn is a lot thicker. This is super strong. And even though yarn is thicker, it's probably even lighter than this. What if you wanted to add some rigidity to something that is really soft? Everybody understand rigidity? If I have something like this, it's flopping over. Okay. if I put some sort of a frame underneath it, does that keep it from flopping over? Yeah, it does. How much do you want to do? Good thing to use in a situation like that could possibly be pipe cleaners. If you guys have any pipe cleaners around for crafts, or what else was I thinking? Yeah, even for small areas, even a paper clip that you open up, or a series of paper clips. So there's a lot of possibilities. It all really goes down to how creative you can be. And I'm noticing the comments. Mr. Fosnight is using poster board, and so one of the things that he's struggling with that I had talked about is that ratio of its mass versus its surface area. Okay, fishing line's another good one. That's a really good one. Super light. We've used fishing line in the class. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Here's something else that you could use for rigidity. Would be tongue dispenser or craft sticks, popsicle sticks. This might be a good excuse to have your adult in your home buy you a box of popsicles. I need the popsicle sticks, Grandma. I need the popsicle sticks for my school project. All right, but either way, there's a lot of things that you can use to be creative. And I know I've talked to Mr. Fosnight. He's having fun with this because he's doing it with his grandson. And this really is supposed to be application. Where do you take something that you learn kind of just on paper, where you're reading and writing and doing an assignment, and how do you put it into practice? This is really developing your skill set and your depth of knowledge. It's one thing. Is that blood? Am I bleeding? No. I don't know what that was. It's one thing to develop to understand and say, yes, air resistance is the friction that objects experience as they move through an atmosphere made up of air. That's great that you know that. Can you make something that shows it? Can you make something that actually will show that it works? And that's why we're doing this project. It helps you guys understand it better. And this is a lot more fun. I'd love to be able to give you guys a grade for something that's a lot more fun than answering questions on a piece of paper. This is application. Has anybody tried? Does anybody have any trouble with anything other than Mr. Fosnight? He's the only one that I've got really negative feedback from that he's struggling. Anybody else having trouble with it? Okay, so again, the idea of fluid friction is that the fluid is the air around us, and we're trying to create something that's going to stay in the air as long as possible. Send me pictures of your ideas, even send me pictures of your fails. I'm trying to remember, Mr. Fosnight might remember, we had one group, it may have been a couple years ago. I think we actually kind of lost count of how many times they tried it and failed and went back and retried it. And so what did they do? And you think about using the scientific method. It's a kind of a chopped up version, but you're saying, okay, what can I do differently? What variable can I change to make this work? Let's try it. Let's experiment with it. All right, we did better. Okay, how can we make it even better? We did worse. It might have been the bird feeder. I don't remember. I don't think it was. I think it was this project, Mr. Fosnight. But that's another example that you're talking about. How can you make it? And I remember that one. I think I might have still saved that one. I don't remember. Sometimes there's a project that's so cool that I'll save it for years and show it to students. Be that student that I save your project. I know you can do it. I'm really, 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 really excited to see some of these. And so send pictures to my email address. You can do it from your phone or your mom's phone or your grandma's phone or whoever's phone you have, because your phone has a Gmail account to it, and just say, hey, this is Joey, hey, this is Brandon. Here's a picture of my project. Even if it didn't work and you got to go back to the drawing board and try all over again, don't be afraid to do that. And don't be afraid to ask for suggestions either. If we were in the classroom, you would be doing it. You would be saying, hey, this isn't working. What can I do differently? Do you have any ideas? You would maybe be asking someone else, seeing what someone else in the class is doing that might be doing a similar project, or asking a partner or asking a teacher. And use your resources. Imagine what I mean by that. It's 10:30 and I know Language Arts is going to be broadcasting right now. So I'm going to try to get off here. A little bumper music here from one of my favorite movies. Say goodbye to Harold and say goodbye to Batman. Don't be afraid to get a hold of me, guys. Seriously. And I hope I gave you guys a few more ideas to work with on your project. And I hope you're having good days. Sun's out. It's going to get a little bit warmer today than it was yesterday. It's going to get into the 60s in the afternoon. Maybe you guys can get out later. One of the things of having chickens and ducks, I think I just saw a feather floating around the room here. All right, take care, guys.